ago,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another delicious serving of KuyaLumpia. Today we're playing something a little weird. Yeah, turn down that volume. We're playing Crysis 3. The best one. It's not the best one. It's not the best one by any stretch of the imagination. Although maybe it's not fair of me to say that because I haven't actually played this one.
Yeah, I mean,
but,
I haven't played it either, but...
I am joined here by my cousin JP.
Hello.
And, we're big fans of Crysis. We were sort of, back when we were in high school, that was when we were into the whole, you know, PC gaming! Build graphics cards!
Your own computers and...
Blast processing! RAM chips.
NVIDIA, GeForce, blah, blah, blah.
NVIDIA so better than ATI.
How much RAM do you guys computer have?
Yo, what's your rig? What's your specs? Give me your specs.
Yeah, what's your specs?
Maybe we shouldn't mock the PC.
But
no, we do it out of love because we build PCs now.
We grew up like that.
But yeah, so Crysis. For people who might not have been involved in the PC gaming community back in 2006, 2007, Crysis became the hallmark, the benchmark, of PC gaming. You know, the question was not, you know, what are your specs, what's your graphics card. The question was,
can your computer play Crysis with 30 frames per second?
Yeah, can you run Crysis? Can you run it on high settings? Can you run very high settings? That was like a universally understood sign of how good your computer was. And that's sort of, and not only was Crysis 1 a graphical masterpiece, gameplay-wise, it was a really, really good game. It was pseudo open world. You know, the levels were not linear.
But
it had
wide enough that you can,
Yeah, it gave you a much more open sense of gameplay than, say, a corridor shooter like Call of Duty or Battlefield, any of the ones that were out there at the time. And they had, you know, AI that would sort of like react to the environment and stuff, and so you just had.
This was new. This was coming. This was like next gen. Well, this generation.
It was sort of in the line of Far Cry at the time. This was all developed, by the way, by Crytek, which I believe is a French company.
I
think French.
Wait.
Dude, I'll have to look that up, and I'll toss a little thing on the screen if it's not right. But I believe they're French. But yeah, Crytek, and they also developed Far Cry, and Far Cry was in that similar vein of a sort of open world shooter. And Crysis continued that tradition, and it was awesome. And not only that, but it had this sci-fi story, but like the aliens were super cool. Like they were themed after like cephalopods, and they like floated through the air. Like it was like
squid thing.
Yeah, they were like flying squids. It was awesome. Like the alien designs there were so cool. And it was very much not like anything that you sort of saw. In terms of, aliens, from games like Halo, I guess.
Yeah, I think Halo was like the only comparison, really.
I mean, like, and Halo has awesome alien designs too. Yeah. So, but like, the stereotypical aliens invade Earth. You think of some kind of like bipedal creature with like laser guns.
Yeah. This
was just completely different. It was more of like an animal thing. It was like a flying octopus creature that had advanced technology, but it was like a completely different race
and the game altogether was like something new. I mean, it was the beginning. It was along the lines of like the first person shooters, but graphically it was like the most beautiful looking one game out there.
And so it continues the tradition with Crysis 3. It's a beautiful game, but Crysis 2 really, like, it took the franchise in the wrong direction. It really tried to make it something like Halo.
Like Call of Duty.
Like it was like Call of Duty. It tried to be both Call of Duty and Halo at the same time. Because like now, like in Crysis 2, I didn't get it. They made Prophet, that main character who you saw briefly in the beginning, spouting some like religious nonsensical shit. Who's this guy in the cryo suit. They were trying to make him like a Master Chief, like a sort of like a religious, almost kind of hero figure. And then that's Psycho. Psycho was in Crysis 1, but he did not sound like that, and he did not look like that, and he looked stupid. Stupid.
Oh, and this is Prophet. Oh yeah, this is like the downloaded version of Prophet.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I just can't believe how they changed it like that. Okay, so originally the guy in this suit is actually, I think his name was
in Crysis 1 it was Nomad.
It was Nomad in the original.
And he talked.
And he
was a real
too.
character. He talked.
No, he was a silent type. He was a silent type.
No,
right?
he talked.
Oh yeah.
He did talk because remember he was like in the beginning he's like my shoot is gone. My damn shoot is gone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I've got no reserve. Like how do I remember that cutscene so well? But yeah, he didn't talk much. He didn't talk much, but he did talk.
They dropped him in Crysis 2.
And then they dropped him in Crysis 2.
Yeah,
and they replaced him in Crysis 2 with a silent guy who doesn't talk. So right there is like, oh, we're making it more like Call of Duty where the guy doesn't talk. And they made Prophet like the main weird, like the main character.
The main character throughout the story.
Kills himself in the beginning of the game, and then like somehow his suit absorbed his memories. Yeah. So when you put on his suit, it slowly takes over you, and you become the next Prophet. It's some weird shit. And I do not like it. Weird. In Crysis 1, it was just, there's a bunch of people in suits, and you're super soldiers in a special forces unit, and that's it. And it was just cool like that. But now that, they really started to take up some of, I think, what Master Chief and the Halo franchise introduced with more of like these kind of cool, religious, sort of mystical, I would almost call it like fantasy undertones. And his name is goddamn Prophet. I mean, it's like it makes it feel like, oh, he's the chosen soldier of a prophecy, but there's like guns and like it's in the modern or future time period. It's weird.
Where am I supposed to go?
That is a good question. Where's Psycho? You got a map on the corner. Dude, that HUD is bobbing when you run. The game is very pretty.
Over here.
There
you are. Okay.
Oh, so that's Psycho. Psycho was cool. I mean, I guess in Crysis 1, keep in mind, a lot of this is also probably influenced by the fact that I was, an impressionable high schooler when I played Crysis 1.
Yeah.
And it was very much like, oh, it's so cool, the super soldiers with the pew, with the guns
and the aliens.
Yeah.
Sound like cosplay.
And like,
but yeah.
And Psycho. Really cool. Michael Psycho Sykes was his name.
Is that his real name?
Yeah, and he was like the British guy who's like, oh. He was basically like the Jason Statham of this.
Equivalent in this game, yeah.
But now they changed his voice in this game and now he sounds stupid.
He sounds alright.
I guess
I mean, did you ever play Crysis 1, though, with that one with, where Psycho is the main character?
Oh, Warhead. Yeah, that game was awesome.
That one was cool.
There was like an expansion pack that they released for Crysis 1.
Whoa, okay. I want to get a look at Psycho's face. Okay.
But yeah, he Sykes. They released an expansion pack for Crysis 1 that had like a standalone story. And this time you were playing a Psycho, who is that guy that you're sort of being accompanied with right now. Except he was cooler then.
Yeah, he was.
Listen to his voice. I guess.
No one's crazy enough to give this a go.
I guess his voice is more realistic.
Oh, you know what I compared him to actually, like at the time. What's his name? Commander Shepard, or is that his name from Call of Duty?
Yeah. Wait. Oh shit, dude! You're supposed to be stealthy.
Oh,
supposed to be stealthy.
Okay, there you go.
Right. Can you hold X? Wait, hold on. I think. Oh wait, no. You're supposed to grab him. Kill him. Oh shit. Well. You blew your cover on the first enemy who had his back turned.
Well. Oh well.
That's all right. We're not even really. I don't even know if we're gonna be doing like a full playthrough of this game, but then we might just do a couple episodes. I don't know. We might do a full playthrough. It might only take us a couple of hours, knowing this game is like probably like super linear. I don't know. Well, okay. So in Crysis 2, they made the game super linear, took away a lot of what made Crysis 1 fun. In Crysis 1, you sort of see, have this big open world, and you can sort of scout the area, find where all the guards are, and then plan your attack. And then they took that all away and made it just, like a corridor shooter, and you have like maybe two or three options per like encounter. And you sort of like scout an area, and they'd say, okay, if you want to do this the sneaky way, go down this path. If you want to do this the explosive way, go down this path.
And they really made it like, apparent that you can go in different directions.
Yeah, and it was just, I don't know, it took away the fun. It felt less like you were discovering something, and more of like, oh, if you want to do it this way, go here. It was like you were being taken on a tour. I didn't like it. And I guess to the credit of, I guess, Crytek, well, I guess it isn't even Crytek anymore, it's Ubisoft, but Far Cry, I think, proceeded in more of that direction of being the open world, scout your paths, do things the way you want, that kind of a shooter, whereas Crysis just, I don't even know what happened in Crysis, but yeah, anyway, it's alright. I just feel like, I'm just salty about it, man. That's just all it is. I'm just super salty about it.
I know how you feel.
It was beautiful though, and Crysis 2 ran really well. It just became the story was nonsensical. Crysis 2. I don't know. Crysis 1 was so good. Crysis 1 was so. We should do a playthrough of Crysis 1.
That'd be fun.
I'd be totally game to do that again.
I don't even know if I have.
Revisit that. You don't have Crysis 1?
I mean, not.
I know I have it. I have the disc copy and I have the Steam copy too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Then we must.
Yeah.
Right.
I loved playing that game on like the hardest difficulty, and then it was like you didn't have like your HUD.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the enemies only spoke Korean.
Yeah, because it was. Yeah,
that's it. That was
Korea?
so cool to me. It's like when you play it on the easy difficulties, the enemies, they speak English, so you'll be able to listen to them, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna try and flank them. I'll go around," or like, "I'm throwing a grenade out." But then you play on the harder difficulties, and they only speak Korean, and I was like, "That's so freaking cool!" Like,
made more challenge.
It wasn't just like, "Oh, enemies take more shots now," and they deal more damage. It was like there's actual contextual things that are making this game a lot more difficult. And not just sort of increasing some numbers somewhere in the background. Anyway, Crysis 3.
I don't even know where I'm going.
Oh, I don't have a timer running out. I don't freaking care. I guess like 13 minutes. We'll be alright. Yeah, I should maybe talk a little bit more about what's actually happening on this screen, huh?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's running well. How many times am I going to say that? Oh, I thought that was a bad guy.
No. No, I got lost a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I got lost, that's why I was just like...
I can't wait. I did hear that this game really does open up. Because that was the big criticism of Crysis 2, was that it became so linear. Oh, dude, you get your bow already?
Introduce the bow. Yeah.
The bow is a pretty cool addition, admittedly. Yeah, after Crysis 2, everybody was like, okay, you made this super linear, we don't like it. And then they said, okay, with Crysis 3, we're going to make it more open. There's going to be more sort of like wildlife. Oh, yeah. Like more nature, right. Like open. Cause that
takes place in New York, though, right? Yeah. Like a futuristic...
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's after the events of Crysis 2.
Right, so...
And, yeah, like, pretty much New York's run over.
Yeah. I mean, how freaking Western sci-fi is that? Like, New York City is taken over by aliens, and oh god, oh no, to protect the Statue of Liberty. Oh god, but yeah, Crysis 1 took place on an island in the South Pacific, and like, I mean, North Koreans, I guess, were an enemy, so that could be kind of stereotypical. You thought that was Psycho?
Oh gosh. That Psycho was following me.
Yeah, so like, Crysis 1 took place on a tropical island, and so it was just the location and the environment was just so cool, and it really warranted sort of that open world exploration feeling. And then they also had cool like alien landscapes thrown in there on a couple of the levels. And then imagine going from that, you know, open world, beautiful tropical islands with all this space to move around, to freaking New York City, getting taken over by aliens. And it's just like, I don't know. It just became so, it's just instantly like the most trite thing that you could say for a sequel.
Yeah, we just killed it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and so to their credit, Crysis 3, as I understand it, again, I haven't played it, was making a motion to sort of go back to it a little bit. You wouldn't know it based off of what we're looking at right now. Just more of the more of this sort of, you know, industrial. I mean, I guess it is a little bit more open. Compared to some of the encounters in Crysis 2, this is already a kind of a step up. Just sort of like there's already different levels going on. Beautiful, beautiful. See, that's what I liked in Crysis 1. You could like pick up turtles.
Oh yeah,
and
I know.
You could, like, throw
pick
them.
up the animals.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And that was only if you were on the very high graphics, because on the low graphics they didn't have any animals around. But it was kind of cool when you think of it like that, like. Having the higher graphics actually gave you more gameplay opportunities too.
Yeah, that's right. Because they would turn it off if.
Yeah.
Run.
And but, you could even like you could like shoot a tree and then the tree would break at like, you know, the places that you shot it, and then you could pick up the tree trunk. Yep. And like if they were small pieces, like you could just pick them up normally, but if they were huge, you could actually put your suit into the strength mode and you could pick up like a huge branch of the tree and just like
they had
chuck it at a person.
Yeah. Back then they had reasons for like the modes, the different modes that you had, like so you can go invisible.
Yeah.
Here they really limited. They really dumbed it down to just invisibility and like I think this is armor mode.
Yeah.
But back then armor mode was like automatic.
Yeah.
It wasn't something like this.
Well, yeah. So basically back then, shield mode or armor mode was yeah, because you'd be like, or was it armor mode?
Or something like that. There was like strength. Strength, speed, armor.
It might have been armor, but armor mode was like the default that you would keep it on, and it was sort of, it gave you your shield, but then you could manually sort of click a button and then put your suit into stealth mode, made you invisible. Yep. Strength mode, which made you jump higher. You'd be able to pick up heavier things, and you could punch the crap out of people and like cars and stuff, and strength mode was awesome. And then speed mode, and you had to manually put it on speed mode, and then you could run super fast. But now in this game, it's like it's more automatic, where you just sort of like click a button, and when you sprint, it's already in speed mode, and then. I don't know. I just don't get more of the sense that it's more of a tactical decision. It's in this game, it's more. Yeah. It's more of like either like a reactionary thing or just like sort of like a spur of the moment thing.
Yeah. Back then, I really liked it how like strength. Yeah, you can use it to lift up like large rocks and whatnot.
Yeah.
There's a reason for those kind of things back then.
Yeah, and it was nuts. Like I remember like being able to like put my suit into strength mode. And then like jump super high, and then while in midair switch to stealth mode. So like you would find like a large encampment, and you can scout it out and see like, oh okay, there's a gate here, I could enter through there, or there's like a waterfall access in the back. Yeah. What I would do is I would like go in stealth mode, sneak up real close, and be like right at the edge of the fortress like wall. And then I would just use a super jump up over it, but then stealth in midair so that people won't see me when I'm in the air. Yeah. And then I can get over the air and then just sort of like plan it out from there. So it's like,
yeah, and it was cooler.
It was sandbox. It was a sandbox.
It was cooler then. Like now, look how high I can jump. I can't do that.
Now it's like, look, now you gotta freaking like wait for Psycho to open a door, and it's
I know it was. I liked it better off when it was just wide open. It really was like Far Cry though.
Yeah, that's another big thing. So back in Crysis 1, it was a save anywhere game. So something more like Elder Scrolls. You could save anywhere and resume from anywhere, and then it became a checkpoint only game. And I think that has a huge deal to do with it, because when all of a sudden you're forcing the saves to come from checkpoints, like, you're basically saying this is becoming linear.
Yeah,
like,
and you're really limiting, like, I don't know, the amount of things that you can do overall in a game.
But I don't know. Actually, I do know. This game sucks. No, why am I trying to be humble? No, you made an awful decision. No, it's all right. It just became different. It's. I'm sure.
It became different. That's a better.
It's a good game. It's just like I feel like it could have been so much more.
Because it isn't the same as it was before.
Yeah, and especially now that Crytek isn't making these games anymore. Last I heard, Crytek is making like mobile games now.
Ew.
Like yeah.
iPhone.
Yeah, and they're just sort of like licensing out the CryEngine to other people, and they're not actively focusing on making games. Because their last few games have been this. Crysis 2 and Crysis 3, and it's just like, dude, you were doing so well with like
making,
doing what you were doing.
Who's making Far Cry?
Ubisoft. So they sold, I think they sold Far Cry to Ubisoft. Starting with Far Cry 2. I think that was when they sold it. Yeah, I think they only made the first one, actually, come to think of it. I could be wrong. I'll look into that.
Oh, get out of my way.
Oh, hella chappers.
The Japa. Okay.
Yo, and that's the other thing. Friggin' in Crysis 1, there was like vehicles.
Yeah, there
were not in every map.
You can drive.
But like, I remember there was one particular mission where there was like a huge battle going on between like the United States, like the armed forces, and then like the Korean forces.
That was cool.
There were like tanks everywhere, and there was like explosions going on, and you could like just hop in a tank and just like start fighting people. I mean, that wasn't your objective, but you could do it.
You could do it for fun.
Yeah. in Crysis 2, it's sort of similar to Call of Duty. Vehicles just became like a cinematic like set piece segment. Like, oh, like this is a gimmick. Like in this level, you're gonna be driving a car. I mean, that's not necessarily true. Because there are vehicles in Crysis 2, and you can get into them. But just because of the nature of how the levels are designed, dude, you're gonna get messed up. You got to get messed up in these streets. Can you destroy that thing? Can you throw like an oil barrel at it and then like shoot it midair?
Let's see.
No, you know way you can throw that far.
Oh god.
Bad decision. What, JP? Why'd you do that? It's a bad decision.
Run away.
My bad.
And you know the thing about
in Crysis 1, you could do that. You could pick up an oil barrel, put your suit in strength mode, and then you could hurl that barrel super far.
Oh, that was so cool then.
Yeah.
But what's it like? I don't know that. Like in this game, if you saw what I was just doing, like this, just through this entire scene, all I was doing was camouflaging, hiding, and then running, and then shooting them in person. Like it's just really repetitive and.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able.
It's not very versatile. There's not a lot of things you can do compared to Crysis 2 or 1.
Yeah, I think a lot of what it was in Crysis 1, it was just more punishing. If you got caught and like you were trying to stealth, like I mean, you could like run and gun, but just based off of the nature of like the levels were just designed with completely different principles. Like it wasn't like this where you could you knew it was linear, so you could say like, oh, there's always going to be stuff to take cover behind, and you sort of know where the enemies are going to be going. Like, I don't know, the levels were just so much more open there, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just sort of like coming up with like things as I'm talking and like waxing poetic. Maybe if we do a Crysis 1 series, I'd be interested to see if like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I won't feel the same after playing Crysis 1 again after all these years. But
I don't know. It's kind of just fun to play though. Like this is just to run around.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not the most.
We're also playing this on the easiest difficulty.
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah. I mean, like normally you can't just go do that.
Yeah. Just because so maybe we're definitely we shouldn't be making critiques on difficulty when we put it on the easiest difficulty just because like we thought maybe we probably weren't gonna do like a full series on this, but
no, this is the hardest level. This is the hardest setting.
That guy just sitting there like diddling. Just a little diddling his little ding dong. But yeah, because with Crysis 1, I really only played it. Oh, it's Gladys. Oh,
it's Gladys.
Oh, they're just chairs.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm just gonna try to do like a speed run of this.
Yeah. And friggin' like Crysis 1, like I only really played on the higher difficulties. Oh. About that time. about that time. Well, I'll just finish the thought. So I basically only played Crysis 1 on the harder difficulties, and obviously with there you just had to plan stuff more.
Yeah.
So like when things don't go according to your plan, it's just like immediate panic, and like like if you were trying to be stealthy, and like the way that energy worked back then, it was like there wasn't health then, right? Or no, there was health. So
but you would lose that, and then like you wouldn't be able to. It wouldn't recharge.
Right. Yeah, you needed health packs.
You would like kind of like you would try to plan out how you would use your powers.
Right.
Because that's the only way to save yourself.
Yeah, because like okay, so like your shield basically was everything.
Hey guy.
Your shield sort of was the energy source for all of your powers, but then beneath that there was the health meter, and health didn't recover unless you had health packs. So like that too was like there's that added layer of like okay, I need to manage my powers with how much health I have, and you just needed to be more strategic. You just had to plan things more. This game is just more like, oh, my shield is low. Better like kill the immediate threats and then just get to.
We don't like this game, but it's kind of funny.
Well, we'll give it more time next time on KuyaLumpia. I guess we'll do a little series on Crysis 3. Hey, why not?
Or Crysis.
Or Crysis. Well, yeah.
Crysis.
If people like this series and want to hear us like play through more of it, I don't know. Well, actually, I kind of want to see the end now that I think about it because I haven't actually played this game. And we own it. We spent money on this. At some point in our lives, you bought this. So I think you owe it to your past self to at least beat it.
Alright, yeah, I'll give it a try.